Hello, this is Michelle with Artful Possibilities, and today we're going to paint this adorable little fuzzy Valentine bear. I'll be painting this on an 8x10 canvas, and you will need a pencil, a paper towel that has been wet with clean water and squeezed out. You're going to need a small flat brush, less than a 1/2 inch if possible. You're going to need a round brush. This one happens to be a number 6. And then you're going to need a couple of brushes for pouncing fur. I have some older bristle brushes that are just a little bit worn and they work really well for just pouncing in some fur. I also have what is called a deerfoot stippler, and you load the brush on the part that sticks out further. It's called the toe, and you can get a furry look by using that. So those are going to be the tools that I'm going to use. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is draw the bear. So I have a little dot that I made here just below center of the canvas, and I'm going to draw a heart, and the right side's going to be up bigger. All right. So the next thing is to draw the bear's hands. So we're going to come in over here, and we're going to make a thumb, and then a paw, and it's going to come out kind of chubby over here, and up around near the heart. And then you can take your eraser and erase the line of the heart. Okay, now on this side, it's a little bit higher up, so we're going to be coming in here. We're going to draw a thumb, and then a hand that comes out and around, and then there's a little bit of shoulder there. Then we're going to have his little face. So we're going to make kind of like an oval that comes out a little bit on each side. So we're going to come up, down, kind of stick it out a little bit. And then we'll connect the shoulder. This can come out and be a little more rounded if you'd like. So just kind of play with this. And we're going to give him one ear and then another ear. Okay, so let's erase the line for the heart. And then underneath, we'll start with the leg here. So somewhere right around the below halfway point of this hand, we're just going to come out and we're going to make a little bit of a curved line there. And then we're going to make an oval for the foot. We're going to be pouncing all kinds of colors there. And then in here, we're going to bring the leg down. Okay. Over here, just below the hand, that leg comes down and out. Then we're going to draw a belly. Okay, and the rest of his leg comes up to here, and then we do an oval that's kind of tipped off to the side a little bit, and it's flat on the bottom of the canvas. So now as you do this, you'll notice what I did was I made this foot a little bit small. And again, like I've said before, as I work out the process in front of you, anything that I'm not happy with or I feel like I need to make a correction to, I leave it in the video. So you'll see how I rectify situations that I'm not crazy about. Okay, so I'm gonna make his head just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go in. Now what you can also do is get yourself some transfer paper and do your drawings on a regular sheet of like computer paper, and then you can trace them on with the transfer paper. Okay. All right. So that's looking pretty cute to me. And we're going to have an oval on the inside, a little one on each side. Okay. All right, so let's get started with our painting. I am using both Artist Loft and Liquitex Basic Acrylics today. The background is going to be Unbleached Titanium. And the bear is going to be painted with burnt umber and white. I'm going to put out some burnt umber, some white, and for the heart, I'm going to use Alizaron Crimson, Hue Permanent, and White. I'm going to put some of that out. And we're also going to need a tiny, tiny bit of Mars Black. Just enough for the eyes. And we might add some in the fur. Okay, so here we go. We are ready to start. So I'm going to take my 1/4 inch square flat brush, and I'm going to wet it and touch it to my paper towel. And I am just going to take the Unbleached Titanium, and I'm going to start laying it around the teddy bear. Now before I go too far, I'm going to take this paper towel, scrunch it up. Again, it's already wet and squeezed out. And I am just going to pounce in the titanium white straight up and down. And it's going to give us a mottled look. Now I'm only going to use the brush to get around the teddy bear. But if you want to just use paper towel for all of that, you can, because our teddy bear is fuzzy. So our edges aren't going to be, you know, perfect. So we don't have to have them smooth there. So here we go. I'm just dipping now in the titanium, unbleached titanium. And I am just pouncing straight up and down. It almost gives the background like a look of parchment paper. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going with that. Going to get it done all around the beer. Who doesn't love a teddy bear for Valentine's Day, right? You can also rub that color a little bit, but I just kind of pounce straight up and down. A little imperfection in the canvas there. So just kind of scratch that away. Okay. I'm going to get this little guy going here. I'm going to use 2 hands. I want to make sure I pounce straight up and down to give a textured look. So this painting's going to be full of texture because our bear is full of texture from pouncing paint. And our background has a lot of texture in it. Now you could put another color in the background also if you want, but I'm going to leave the main background just the unbleached titanium for this project. Whoops. As I said that, part of my paper towel hit into my burnt umber, so we'll have a little burnt umber there. Totally, obviously, totally not expected. But as these things happen, I usually just go with them. Okay, we're almost done. So by painting the paint right up against the teddy bear shape and then pouncing out, we get a little bit of a darker color around the teddy bear, which is kind of neat because it adds like some shadow behind him. So I really like that. Okay. some more. I already have my arm in it. Remember, I'm a messy painter. If you're not wearing it, you're probably doing something wrong. Okay, let's see. Get that pounce straight up and down. Get a little more on my paper towel. Try and do this quickly for you. Okay, let's turn this back around. We do want to get underneath the teddy bear also. And we can lay a shadow in there later too. All right, straight up and down. Okay. So while that's wet, let's go ahead and put our finger. I like to fold this up, take my index finger and get it inside of there. Now this is a slightly damp paper towel. I'm going to dip in the burnt umber, and I'm just going to start placing it on the edges. And so my finger is pointing toward the outside edge of the canvas, and the part of the paper towel that's clean is laying on the canvas. Doesn't take much paint. Gives a nice little antique look. This can be done after the background is dry or now while it's a little bit wet. Just keep dipping the tip of your finger into the brown. And on the corners I might come in a little bit. And then when the painting is dry, I'm going to paint the edges in burnt umber for this project. Okay, turn. Just go right across. It's okay if you get some in the teddy bear's legs or feet. We don't mind. All right, there we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and bring that brown up and get a little bit of color underneath the bear while we're at it. So there would be some shadow there under him. And if we want to tweak that, we can come back in later and tweak it. All right, there we go. Now this would be really cute with someone's name written out in the background, or you could actually, you know, draw some more hearts. I thought hearts hanging from ribbons would be cute. This would make a really sweet baby gift, or for anyone. All right, I want the heart to be in front of the bear's face, but I want his arms to be out in the front. So we're just going to keep taking this step by step and layering different colors at a time. So first thing I'm going to do is take my number 6 round, wet it, pull it over my paper towel, and on the inner part of the ear, I'm just going to create a little, like a letter D, depending what side you're looking at, and I'm going to put the inner ear on each side with burnt umber. Okay, and then I'm also going to paint inside the pads of his feet with burnt umber also. Just try to smooth it out as best you can. It can look uneven because we're going to be pouncing and doing texture, making some texture inside there. Okay. All right. Pretty cool. Okay, while that's drying, I'd like to paint the nose, and I have it a little bit tipped, and looks kind of like a big fat teardrop, so I'm just going to try to draw it like the original here. Okay, so it's sort of like a triangle with rounded edges, but it's tipped a little bit. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and paint that in with burnt umber also. And I want it to be light, so don't go in and put a second coat right now. Just go ahead and paint it and let it be on the light side. There was a little bit of water in my brush, which is actually perfect. All right. So we're going to let that dry also. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and work on the teddy bear's ears a little bit. So what I'm going to do is take the smallest brush that I have that has uneven bristles, and I'm going to start just pouncing the color in the area around that inner ear. So I'm going to take some burnt umber and a little bit of unbleached titanium, and I'm going to bounce it straight up and down. And I'm making the area around the ear. Now I'm going to dip in a tiny bit of white, just ever so tiny bit. And I'm going to come back, let's get a little more white, and come back and just pounce that very lightly. Okay, so on the other ear we're going to do the same thing, burnt umber, unbleached titanium, light touch, make it look fuzzy. Try to make the ears about the same size. Then we're going to go into straight titanium white with the dirty brush. And we're just going to pounce over that a little bit. And get a little more white. Okay. While that's drying, we can go ahead and work on the face. So what I'm going to do is get some burnt umber now in the same brush, and I'm going to start applying it to the teddy's face. I'm going to leave a little bit of white near the ears because I want to be able to see where to go back in with some shading. I want you to be able to see that easily. So as we pounce, 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 we're using a light touch. And I am letting a little bit of the canvas show. Now as we get closer to the heart and to the nose, we're going to take out another brush. Okay, so and get that small flat brush out again, clean it. And I want to just take some burnt umber, and I want to paint the burnt umber on, I have to get the moisture out of my brush. I want to paint it on the teddy bear up against the heart. And we can go right down to where the hand starts. Okay. And now come in with the other brush and just continue to pounce in that area. And come near the edge of the nose and just kind of use your brush to smooth it out. So we just don't want to get the fur all inside the nose. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. Okay. And I do want it just a little bit lighter here where the eyes are going to go. All right, that's looking good. Get a little more burnt umber. And continue to add another layer. Now, as you put that on, you're putting more paint on top of your first coat. Don't press hard. Let some of that burnt umber that's underneath the first layer, let that kind of show while you lightly pounce in the other colors. I'm going to come out here and add a little bit more dark color on the outside. Okay, he's looking cute. Now, I want the fur here to be in front of the ear. I want to just bring it forward, so I'm going to add a little bit of white to my brush, and right in through here, I'm going to lighten the fur. There. Same thing on the right. I'm just going to lighten the fur a little bit near the ear. Okay, super cute. We are going to come in later with some more shading also inside the ears and the nose. Okay, so we're going to pounce outside that arm a little bit. There we go. Okay, keep dipping that brush into some more burnt umber. Come around, get the top of the arm, and just come around. Now I'm trying to stay out of the heart right now. As I pounce, I'm letting a little bit of canvas show through. My gosh, he's so cute already. Okay. While he's wet, let's dip in a tiny bit of white. Okay, pounce it on your towel. And then we're going to pounce the top of the thumb a little bit. And then the bottom of the thumb. So what we're doing is we're just setting the thumb up above the hand a little bit, okay? And then we're going to come down on the hand, lighten that a little, and up in the arm. Okay, super cute. Again, don't come too close to the heart. We'll fix that in a little bit. So we're going to come over here, pounce, pounce, pounce. Letting some of the background show through. Going to get into some white. Pounce it, and we want to shape the thumb by making it a little bit lighter than the hand. And then we're going to pounce the bottom of the hand a little. And the top here where it touches in front of the shoulder. So by making some darker and lighter areas, we're creating texture. We're going to come in here with a little more burnt umber. And I still have some white on the brush. I'm going to wipe that off. I don't want to get that too white. Okay, so that is looking better. I'm going to grab some more white. Actually, in through here on this bear, I'm going to have to let the thumb dry a little bit before we can put more color on it. All right, let's get the two legs done. So, again, scruffy, pouncy brush. Come in, straight up. I'm going to leave a little bit of space between the hand and the leg. That's going to be important later when we go in and we do some shading. You're going to want to see that line. Okay, good. Same thing now as we go under the tummy. We're going to leave a little bit of space between the leg and the tummy and between the heart and the tummy. Okay, grab some more of the burnt umber. Go up to the heart and do the leg. If you practice how to do the fur, it really works if you use more paint and a lighter touch, so that when you're pouncing, you're not smushing the paint. That's a technical term, smushing. You're not smushing it into the bottom layer, and that's how you create that texture. Okay, so I'm leaving a little bit of white showing in between the body parts, so that when we come in and shade, you'll have an easier time knowing where to shade. So I'm going to come in, do the outside of the paw, leaving some white showing. Same thing here. Okay, very good. I am going to drop that brush in the water, and I'm going to paint the heart. Now I chose to have the top of the heart in front of the bear and not have fur all over it, and same thing with the bottom. But the arms I kind of fluffed over the heart later. So we're going to start with some Alizaron crimson and white to create a pink. Now I'm okay with it being sort of mottled and have a variation of color in my pink. If you want to mix up more, you can do that. You could always use a brighter color also, like quinacridone magenta. Whatever pink you want. Or red would be really cool. Any color. Everyone has a favorite. Okay, so I'm getting in here with my little flat brush. Getting close to the fur, trying not to get any pink in the fur, and I'm just going to keep spinning this around. All right. Very good. All right. Let's take that brush and a little bit of burnt umber and put a little bit more shadow on the ground, but leave some space under the bear so that this won't look like it's part of him. Okay. You could grab a little white too and just kind of get it in there. So it looks like he's almost, just has a little shadow there. We can actually come out here too. Make it look like he's sitting on the floor. So I'm just getting burnt umber and a little white. Okay. I'll come in with a little black under there after. Let's get that kind of straightened out right there, and then bring this up here. Okay, super cute. All right, there's a little dot of water that fell here, so I'm going to see it created a bald spot. Drying that brush. I'm going to take a little piece of this blue shop towel and absorb that moisture right there. Okay. Not ideal, but we'll get some burnt umber and pounce, pounce, pounce. Okay. That will rectify itself as we go on. Okay, so take that 1/4 inch brush now and take a little bit of burnt umber on one corner of the brush, and then grab the tiniest bit of black and just kind of blend it together on your brush. I'm going to touch it on my paper towel. And what I'm going to do is lay that color at the top of the nose. So the color on the brush is at the top of the nose, and I'm just going to bring it around to the right like that. Okay, that's going to need to dry so I can build up some layers there. Okay, so let's get some more burnt umber and a tiny, tiny bit of black. Rub it together and come in and put it up against the leg here on the tummy. Up against this leg. We really need to get it a little bit darker there. So I'm actually going to go across this brush, and I'm going to come in and just kind of lay it in there. Lay it under the heart. Just little tap, tap, tap. And under the leg. By making those areas darker, we're bringing the legs forward and the heart forward. And then we're going to do a little bit under the heart. And a little bit under this paw. So hopefully you can see how that's starting to give this guy some shape. And we're a long way from finished. We're going to keep taking some more of that darker color, which is really just a little tiny bit of Mars Black and a little bit of burnt umber together. And we're going to put it on the edge of the pads. And just grab a little burnt umber and just kind of pounce in the middle. So we want the edges of the pads to be a little darker than the rest of the feet. Grab some burnt umber and just pounce in the middle. Okay. It's all a process of putting in the lights and darks. All right, I am going to need a little more burnt umber. This is quite possibly my favorite burnt umber. It's Liquitex Basics Acrylics. And this burnt umber, I find it just so smooth and creamy and such a nice rich color. I really like it. Okay, let's see where else we want to put that. So this is just burnt umber. I'm going to come in and lay some here underneath the thumb. Now the paint under it apparently isn't completely dry. I'm lifting it, so I need to be careful there. And then under this thumb, I'm going to add a little bit more. And then let's put some here. We're going to need to add a little bit of black whenever we go underneath the heart here. A little bit of black plus brown. And then a little bit here under this paw. Okay. And we're going to come in and kind of pounce in here also and soften that. So we want some shadow behind the paw on the leg. Okay, same thing here. Same color, just black plus a little brown. So burnt umber and Mars Black. We're just going to get that in there. Okay, so we have lights and we have darks happening. So this area is pretty well done, except right in here. We have to come in with some of that darker color. Okay, and that's going to help pop our heart forward. And I'm also going to shade around the heart. Okay, let's take that little mix of black and brown and put some here under the chin and on the arm where it touches the pink heart. Okay. And then over here on the bear where it touches the heart up here in his arm area. And actually all on top of the heart. So I'm just going in with the straight brush edge and I'm just going to lightly blend it out onto the bear a little bit. Just keep grabbing that color, get it in there. I'm using little tiny bits of paint. We don't want this to get too heavy. All right. Let's turn this right side up and take a look at it. This is a little heavy in through here, but we're going to take care of that in a moment. Again, a little black and a little brown, and we're going to go in here and add some of that darker color inside the ears. Okay. All right, I think that gives us most of what we want. I want a little more darkness here at the leg on the belly. It's just a little wet there. So it's going to give me a little bit of trouble with it sticking. A little bit more burnt umber in through here. Okay, I'd like to put more shadow on that nose while it's dry, so I'm going to grab burnt umber again tiny, tiny bit of black. And I want to keep it on the edge of my brush and put some more shadow up in that upper right side of the nose. I'll let that dry a little bit. Okay, let's get some more on the heart. Let's get a second coat. You can make it lighter if you'd like, or darker. We just need to make it a little more solid, so I'm just going to come in and add a little bit more. I'm not going to go all the way to the edges because we're going to shade there. And it's just not necessary. Okay, so I made it a little bit lighter in color. And right in the middle, I'm going to grab some white and just make it even lighter there. So I'm just putting some color on and just lightly tap, tap, blending it. Okay. So the center is a little bit lighter. Okay, so that can be drying. So now let's go back to whatever little tiny brush you're using for fur. And I'm going to take some burnt umber, pounce, 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 a little bit of titanium white, pounce, 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 a little more white. So what I want is a light brown. Okay. And I'm going to come in now and I'm going to start to shape the top of the face a little bit. So I'm just putting in a very, very light touch of this lighter color. Just pouncing straight up and down. When you run out of paint, go back and add more, and I'm doing a lot of white in that color. Add a little bit more burnt umber. So what you want to see are variations between light and dark, okay? And that's what's going to give your little guy some texture. Okay. And let's come around. I'm going to go ahead and get the edges of this little guy nice and fuzzy. I just keep mixing burnt umber and white. We definitely want the arm to be lighter where it comes over the leg. Okay. Up in here he needs a little color. Super cute. I need burnt umber here in the face also. I'm going to let that dry a bit. So this arm has some pretty nice shape and dimension in it. And this one needs some also. So we're going to come in with burnt umber plus white. Now you can also pounce some of that unbleached titanium in here if you want. Let's grab a little bit so you can see. It's unbleached titanium is really like a tannish, kind of like a, almost khaki color. So you can also add some of that if you like. Let's grab a little bit. Okay. Leave the dark areas dark and the light areas light. So this thumb has gotten a little obliterated. I need to shade under it again. All right, little guy. Now depending how much light color you add, I mean, your lights are going to determine the end result color of your bear. This hand needs more work and we're going to take care of that. We're going to come in, do the belly. I need to squirt out a little more burnt umber again. Usually I have the opposite issue where I'm squirting out way too much color. Okay. Burnt umber and white, pounce straight up and down, very, very light touch. Come in and give him a belly. Now, when you do the leg, be careful not to go too far into the shadow here under the heart. We do want to leave that darker. And behind this pad, the pad, we want to leave that dark. Okay, if you need a little bit more light anywhere on the leg, just tap more white into your brush. Very, very light touch. Okay, so we're going to get the edge of this paw nice and bright so that the leg falls behind. I'm going to take a little more white, pounce up and down. Now there's a lot of burnt umber in my brush, so even though I'm putting a lot of white, it's still like a tan color. And we're just going to let some of that pounce onto the pad of the paw. And as that dries, I'm going to come in with a little more burnt umber also. Just kind of have fun. He has big old feet. Needs a little bit more white down here on his tummy. Nice full tummy. Okay. So we need to create this area and make it look fuzzy. So we're going to do the same thing. Burnt umber and white. I'm going to come in and give him texture. Tap, 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 tap. Leave the dark areas darker. When you want something to get a little lighter, add just some white and light, light, light touches. All right. And again, this foot, we're going to grab a lot more white and we're just going to come in. Tap, 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 tap. And we do want to let some of that fur tap into the pad of the foot. Turn this sideways so I can reach it better. And I'm just going to pounce, pounce, pounce. Okay, so let's take a look. He has some big feet. All right, we need a little more brown in here. And right here. So sometimes it's best if you lift it up and you look at it a little bit from a distance. He's getting nice and furry. He needs a little more fur up near the heart, but we do want to keep it more shadowed there. So we don't want to lose the darkness that we put in. Okay, 2 areas. This hand needs to be fuzzier over the heart. Now we're going to have to come back in and play with that some more because we're going to add a shading on the heart also. Okay, so take a look and see how you like your bear. All right, I kind of gave him a big tummy. I'm just going to add a little more brown in it. Okay. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is add a little bit of straight Alizaron crimson on one corner of our little brush. And we're going to come in and just paint that on the edge of our heart. Just going to keep grabbing some. Going to keep it just on the side of the brush if at all possible. And just come in and put that darker color on the edge. And that helps make it look like it's a little bit rounded. I'll wet my brush. And go ahead and bring it up the side. We want to go around the paws also. But sometimes when one area is wet, like I can't pull right here because I will mess that up. So I have to give that a little time to dry. I'll go around this paw. Okay, and that's helping to bring the heart forward. I'm going to do a little bit of a zoom. Okay. We want to go around this paw. So again, I'm just going to keep grabbing that crimson color, and on the side of the brush that has the crimson, I'm going to hold it toward the paw and just kind of pat it and come around. Just kind of pat that color out. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I do want a little bit more of that beautiful burnt umber washed into his nose. Okay. Again, right in here, I lost his thumb a little bit. Now there's two ways to do that, and I'm thinking I want the hand to be in front of that part of the thumb. So I'm going to switch the shading on that a little bit. Show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some burnt umber on the corner of my brush, and I'm going to imagine that the hand comes around here, and I'm just going to complete the shape of that hand, and I'm going to have the thumb behind it. On this one, the thumb is on top. All right. All right, take a look at that for a moment. That gives you a nice close-up of the heart and how it's lighter in the middle. Here's our nose. He's very furry and very textured. We still have a little bit of white showing here and there, so I'm going to go in with some darker color. I'm going to zoom this back out a bit. There we go. Okay. So here, I'm showing a little bit of white canvas, so there's a couple different ways we could rectify that. You could either go back in with dark, but I'm just going to take a little bit more burnt umber and a tiny bit of white. I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm just going to pounce a little bit there. Okay. You can also just take the edge of your brush and a little bit of your color. So I'm just using a little white right now, and you can just kind of use the corner and pounce there a little bit also. If you have a deerfoot stippler, what I do is I usually leave it dry and I load the longer end of the bristles. So I would dip it in white pounce. Maybe get just a little bit of burnt umber. So I make a lighter color, but I need more paint on the brush. Then you can come in with the toe of that brush and just kind of pounce. So I took care of that. Again, any brush, you can use a lot of different brushes for this. Sometimes you can just use old brushes that you have around. But these are created for that. Let's see what else we want. Maybe a little bit here. Just keep coming in and making it fluffy wherever you'd like to see a little more fur. Okay. You can even make hairs with a brush too if you want, with a tiny brush. So I'm just kind of pouncing and lightly scrubbing as I go. Okay, the other thing that I want to do is shade around this nose. Let's see, I keep seeing little areas that I want to go in and touch. See, like in here, I had left a white space around this pad, and I haven't liked how it's developed since we started. So before I go back up around that nose, let's get some brown in here with the toe of that brush. Let that sit there for a minute, get a little white. There. Okay. So I'm going to take my brush, my small flat brush, and I'm going to take some burnt umber on one corner of the brush, and I want to go around this nose. I have too much water there. Hang on, let me wipe that. I want to go around this nose with burnt umber. So I've got the color toward the nose and the clean end of the brush out on the bear's face. Okay, and we're going to let that dry. Now I like to put little cheeks on my bear. So what I'm going to do is take that scruffy brush back out. Clean it. And I'm going to take just a little bit of that crimson color. Pounce it on my towel. Grab a little white. More crimson. I want it more in the crimson right now, but I don't want a lot of paint on my brush. So I'm tapping it on my towel. And what I'm going to do is just come in and start lightly. I want more crimson. Lightly tapping in that crimson. Now the cheek on the right is higher than the cheek on the left because his head is tipped. Okay, then I'm going to dip in a little bit of white, pounce it on my towel, and at the top I'm just going to add in a little bit of white. Take my other brush and just kind of soften it. I still want a little more crimson in here, but I'm probably going to have to let it dry. We'll see what that looks like as it dries. Now, I didn't give my teddy bear a smile or anything. I'm just going, I made just the little line that comes down from the nose, so I'm going to take my round brush and some burnt umber, and I'm going to roll my brush to a nice point, make sure there's no water on the ferrule, and I'm just going to come down and just make a line. Now, my teddy bear's face is a little dark, so I'm going to have to add a little bit of black in with that brown. And just come in and add that line. Now the nose highlighted itself But if you have yours more solid and you want to add a little bit of white there where mine is lighter, feel free. Okay, he's pretty cute. I'm going to let the face dry a little and come back underneath this bear and put some darker shadow under him. So I'm going to take a little black and a little burnt umber, and I'm just going to go ahead, put some darker color under him, just right up against him. And I'm going to use my paper towel to soften that. Okay, I'm going to take that paper towel and I'm just going to lightly pounce. Okay, and take that deerfoot brush back out and turn him upside down, and I'm going to fluff him again. I need a little more burnt umber and a little more white. He is almost done. Now for your background, if you want to put splatters on it, you could do that, or you little hearts in the background drawn would be really cute also. All right, let me get some brown on the toe of that brush. And then a little bit of white. And let's go ahead and pounce a little bit. All right. Okay, he's pretty cute. Let's go ahead and give him some eyes. So I'm going to take my number 6 round brush and I'm just going to use the very point, the very tip of it. And I'm going to get some black paint and I'm going to make 2 little eyes, just little tiny teardrops. 1. 2. You might have to turn it upside down to get the rounded shape that you want. Now mine are like little pointed teardrops. That has to dry and then we'll put highlights in. You can sometimes get away with doing it right away, but honestly, if you just let that black dry for a minute, that'll be better. So as we wait for that, take a look at your bear and see if there's any areas where you want to go in and darken. I see something right here where I lost the roundness of my heart, and I really wanted it to be in front of the bear. So I'm going to come in over here and I'm going to fix that with some white for starters. And I'll get a little bit of crimson on my brush. And then as that dries, I'll go back in and put some shading there. Okay, so take a look at that while you're waiting for your eyes to dry and just see if there's any areas that you want to go in and kind of touch. Are there areas where background of the canvas show through that you don't want? Like over here, I'm noticing a little dot of white that I don't really want there, so I'm going to go in and add some brown. So just go ahead and check it out. Over here, whoops, that's crimson and I want brown. I want to come in and a little bit of brown in there and a little bit of white. So look at your edges. The paws are in front of the heart, so it's okay for it to have hair that sticks out on the heart. Okay, here under the heart and the top, I wanted the heart in front of the bear, but the hands are in front of the heart. I have to use a little burnt umber with that because I don't really want it to be stark white there. Now you could take a little brush also and pull little hairs out on your bear if you wanted. So let's see, let's grab a tiny bit of white, and I'm going to put the highlight toward the upper right on each eye. Okay. Now you can come in and add a little bit of highlight up here in the nose. Depending how much canvas shows through, if you want to go ahead and pat in a little bit of white, you can do that and give them a highlight there. I'm going to take my pouncer back out and just put a little more crimson in the bottom of those cheeks. I'm going to pounce on my wet paper towel, and I'm going to come in and just give a little more crimson color there. Okay. So again, just look around, see if there's any areas where you want to add a little bit of color, and hairs if you want, or anything like that. Like right in here, it's a little light. I could just keep going. Just keep going and going. It's the beauty and the fun of painting. So I'm going to just touch up the top of that heart real quick that I had to repair. Okay. It's holding some of the background there, so I'm going to have to touch that up as it dries some more. But this little guy, I'm going to just zoom in again so you can see his face. Put it here. Alright, our little bear is all done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a wonderful day.